Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 2541. Be prepared to be inspired.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. I'm founder Mark Green, and I've handed the keys to this car over to Ginger Baker Rust, who's a lifelong enthusiast. Ginger's here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, and buckle up and get ready for a fun ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, and welcome to Cars Yeah. As we round out our La Jolla Concours d'Elegance tour for the month of April, today we are coming to you from the beautiful city of Fountain Hills, Arizona, with a passionate car collector whose name is Bob Kerner. Hello, Bob. Welcome to Cars Yeah. Do you have it in gear, and are you ready to release the clutch?
Ginger, I'm always ready to pop the clutch, and a special congratulations to you for taking over the driver's seat of Cars Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. It is definitely a big seat to fill for sure. Bob, please share something about yourself that most people may not know.
Oh, I like building things with my hands, and creating things with your mind and your hands gives your soul a lot of satisfaction. So some of the things I do, I built a couple barbecue islands. I enjoy barbecuing. I'm a certified barbecue judge with the Kansas City Barbecue Society, although they'd probably tell you that my dues are in arrears. And I enjoy working on my car. I do light mechanical work on it. Nothing. I stay in my lane when it comes to mechanical work, but I do enjoy working with my hands, and I do enjoy being a barbecue master or a pit master.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'm originally from Missouri, so I'm very familiar with Kansas City barbecue. But now that I live in North Carolina, boy, it's a toss-up. It's a toss-up.
I can relate.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about Bob and give him a proper introduction. Bob Kerner's passion for collector cars is evident through his 13-year involvement as a board member and now co-chairman, along with Michael Dorvier of the La Jolla Concours d'Elegance. He is a longstanding member in the Classic Car Club of America. His contributions to the Peterson Automotive Museum and his 4 appearances on the Cars Yeah podcast underscore his dedication to the automotive hobby. Bob shares a common vision with Michael Dorvier and the organizing committee to continuously improve on the mantra of world-class car and world-class experience for the sponsors, entrants, and patrons. Bob is a seasoned 24-year insurance producer specializing in private client risk management and has served 16 billionaire families. His expertise lies in catering to clients with family offices, utilizing best-in-class practices, and a dedicated team. He extends his services to emerging affluent clients with a minimum of $5 million investable and up to ultra wealthy families. Bob is married to his beautiful wife, Laura, of 30 years. They have 3 children, Stephanie, Chad, and Michael. So let's take a stroll to learn more about Bob and the upcoming La Jolla Concours event. Could you please describe your role with the La Jolla event and tell us, from your perspective, why people should attend this event?
Partnering with Michael. Michael's such an astute business person. He handles the business side of the event, the sponsorships, and the relationships that we have with the city in terms of securing the park and our permits and all the coordination. And plus, he's got such a great eye for detail. He's connected to the La Jolla community, so he's always bringing in the right talent to supplement our organizing committee, and does a great job with the business aspect of the event. My role is to recruit, and I have a great team of car selection people that support this, but to recruit all the cars, the wonderful cars that we have on the lawn that make our great show. And we've done a very good job this year of bringing a world-class field of automobiles that all of our patrons and our sponsors and our entrants will enjoy. And so if you've never been to a Concours before and you have interest in seeing some world-class cars, I would encourage you to come along and pick up a ticket. You can buy one at lajollaconcours.com. Essentially, what is a Concours? If you've never been, let me give you a quick overview. The words themselves mean competition of elegance. And so we spend a good 9 months putting on this event, our organizing committee and our executive committee, just planning what the next year's Concours is going to look like. We have some great sponsors that support our event and allow us to put on the level of event that we do. And I'd like to recognize some of them. LPL Financial, our title sponsor, O'Gara Coach, Ferrari of San Diego, McLaren of San Diego, Aston Martin of San Diego, Jeff Brown Yachts, BMW, and Mercedes-Benz of San Diego provide the financial support that we need to be able to put on a world-class event. And so we can't thank them enough. But essentially, a Concours is an event that celebrates significant automobiles in the history of automobiles over the last 100 years. Each year, we create 15 or so classes of automobiles with date ranges, and we recruit for those classes. Individuals that have those particular automobiles will submit them to our selection committee. We'll do our due diligence and review of those cars and hopefully give them a thumbs up, and then they're able to compete. Once you're on the Concours lawn, we utilize the ICJAG judging process, which stands for International Concours Judges Advisory Group. And it's essentially a systematic approach to judging cars. A lot of times entrants will say, well, geez, I can't compete in this class. So-and-so brought his car. I can't beat him. Well, you're not competing against him. You're competing against your car as it rolled off the assembly line. To be in a Concours, your car has to be at least 25 years old and it needs to be in stock condition. That doesn't mean it can't be restored. It can be either restored or well preserved, but essentially it can't be modified or customized. So we're looking for cars that are ready to compete against what they were when they were born off the assembly line. And we do a very good job with ICJAG of providing a fair and balanced judging approach to the Concours process so that the entrants feel very good about the way their car is judged. And if it wins, they know that they earned it. If it doesn't, they'll get a little bit of feedback as to things that they could possibly improve. But we judge for best in class, we judge for best in show, and then we have a whole host of specialty awards. We have best pre-war, best post-war. We have the Mayor's Award. We have the Co-Chairman's Award. We have best upholstery. We have the best preserved or preservation award winner. And so all those additional awards are opportunities for anyone who enters their car into our show to compete for. And if you're a patron coming in to see the Concours, what you will see just a handful of the cars. We've got a 1939 Delahaye Type 165 V12, which was in the New York World's Fair in 1939 with body by Fugoni et Falaschi. We have a 1925 round door Rolls, which is the most spectacular automobile I have ever seen in my life. And to think that that car is 100 years old this year, and it's the most spectacular car I've ever seen, is incredible. We have 31 Cadillac V16 Sports Phaeton. I think there were only 3 manufacturers in the 30s that made a V16. And when you think about a cast iron block that probably weighs a ton, I can see why it was very short-lived and not many other manufacturers took it on. We have a 1903 curved dash Oldsmobile that competed in the London to Brighton race, one of the oldest automobile races in history in the world. We have John Denver's 1972 Ferrari Daytona 365 GTB. We have a 1935 Ford Model 48, which in 1950 was the very first America's most beautiful roadster. So this year we have hot rods, iconic hot rods that were created by GIs that came back from World War II with a little bit of mechanical aptitude, needed a car. They could pick up what was abundant, which were, 1928 to 41 Fords, and they were satisfactory for transportation, but they wanted more. They wanted performance, they wanted looks. And so they created this lifestyle known as hot rods, which still exists today. So that's a sampling of what you will see at the La Jolla Concours. And I hope you buy a ticket and come out and see it.
I think the hot rod class would be probably my favorite class if I was to guess.
I'm excited for it. I really am.
Yeah. What is the date of the event and the location?
Yes, April 25th through 27th. It's in La Jolla Village. The first event is Friday night at Ellen Browning Scripps Park, and that's our VIP kind of a soiree, if you will. We kick up our heels, get dressed up, and have fun. And then Saturday in the village, we have a rally start for the tour, and Porsche's on Prospect that evening. And then Sunday, obviously, back at the park for the concours, and then out on the street is the Motor Car Classic.
Well, that's great. Now, I understand there's also a philanthropic part to this event as well.
We've always had all of our proceeds going to charity. And in the past, it's been the La Jolla Historical Society and the Monarch School for Underprivileged Kids. And those charities continue to this day. And, the idea with the event is let's celebrate the hobby, but let's give back to the community. It's very important to do that. Michael and I believe very strongly in that, as does our organizing committee. And so, that will continue to be our focus is, let's create a great event, but let's make sure it's profitable so that charity can benefit.
Bob, let's take a little deeper dive into your business and career life. Share with us more about your journey into the automotive world and how did all this get started?
As a kid, I always had an eye for cars, and I would see some cool cars on the road or in my neighborhood and I was curious about them. I spent a lot of time building models as a kid. And so that kind of fostered my interest. And then as I got a little bit older, I had an uncle, my Uncle Rich, who taught me how to detail cars and how to work on, in those days it was lacquer paint, how to, rubbing compound and polishing compound and wax. Of course, there was no swirl remover back in those days and no ceramic coating. But anyway, I enjoyed doing that. That was, again, working with my hands, right? And then a little bit of mechanical work. I spent some time doing some tune-up work and replacing water pumps and so forth. So I've always enjoyed working on and being around cars. But I think as I got involved, how I got involved in the concours world is I had a colleague at one point in my career who said, you're a high net worth insurance producer. You should go to the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance because there's a lot of wealthy collectors there and it'd be a great part of your marketing plan. I thought, heck yeah, man, that sounds great to me. So I started going. Along the route, was introduced to Michael Dorvier and said, hey, if I can help in any way possible, love to do it. And so I joined the board and, took on additional responsibility over the years. And 6 years later, he promoted me to co-chair, and we've been partners for the last 5. And it's been a great partnership.
That sounds great. Well, it sounds like that, and my understanding is you deal with some pretty major affluent collectors.
We run into quite a few, and they're great supporters of our event. We have a team of people that have great relationships with them as well. And so, we've been privileged to go into Jay Leno's garage a couple of times, and that's through the relationship that Robert Escalante has with Jay. And then there's a number of collectors throughout the West that have significant collections that every year will send a car. And so we're grateful.
Bob, throughout your life, I know that there are people who have been great inspirations to you. Would you share with us a key mentor who helped you to be successful? And who's been the most influential person in your life?
I think there's probably been 3. When I was young, I was a basketball player, and Coach Jerry Britt was a great influence on me. He was a coach that had opportunities to coach at the D1 level, but because his mother was ill, he stayed close by and was an educator, and we benefited from having him as our coach. And so he taught me that, Bobby, it's great that you have talent, but that talent isn't going to carry you. You've got to work at your craft. You've got to improve on all your weaknesses and continue to get better and better. And so I benefited greatly from that direction that he provided. Had some great success in my high school career and was later inducted into my high school Hall of Fame as a result. I give Coach Britt a lot of credit for that. And then as I got into my working life, I had a boss by the name of Larry Gill, and Larry was he was a great leader. He taught me professionalism. So he said, stop being one of the boys, start acting professional, start looking professional, start communicating properly, and start writing in a professional manner as well. And so I learned a lot, not only from that conversation, but also just watching and observing, because he certainly, talked the talk. And then later on in my career, I met another gentleman by the name of Earl Rogers, and Earl was the most intelligent guy I've ever been around, just smart as heck, but a great guy too. And, he could take the most complex issue, break it down to sub-issues, solve for each. And then by the time he was done with that, the entire complex issue was solved. it was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And so I learned a lot from Earl, essentially, which is work the problem and see if you can find a solution and break it down into simple elements. And so those three gentlemen probably had the most influence and impact on me. And then overall, my Uncle Rich was a big automotive influence as well.
Yeah, that's great. It's important. And I tell people all the time, especially when I'm talking to young people that are trying to get in, to the business of the automotive world or into motorsports, about how important it is to not accept, the answer no, or to the way they carry themselves, on the way they present themselves, the way they speak, all those things. And unfortunately, there's not enough people, it doesn't seem like these days, to be able to provide that kind of guidance.
Correct.
How do you think that the Concours event or your influence on these types of events carry over to youth? How do you do that?
Yeah, it's important to, as adults and parents, to expose kids to a lot of different things in life. And as it relates to automobiles, take them to parades, take them to car shows, take them to the dealership when the new cars come out and show them what the newest stuff is, and, find out what they're interested in and support that interest. We're proud to have two apprentice judges that have been judging with us for a number of years. And one of them, Molly's going to get promoted this year to a full-fledged Concours judge, which we're really excited about. We're going to make a big deal about. And then we've got young Lucas that will be promoted next year after he's fulfilled his apprenticeship. So I think it's important to expose kids and support whatever their interest is, and help develop that for the next generation to participate. My son has begrudgingly, he's a big hypercar fan. He begrudgingly has gone to Concours over the last 13 years, and now he's a big fan of them. So he's become appreciative of the classics.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about the apprentice program?
Well, Nigel is probably a better individual to talk more about that, but the apprentice program is an opportunity for young aspiring Concours judges to get involved, and they'll essentially shadow around a 3-person team on Concours Sunday, and they'll learn through osmosis, right? So they'll be looking at various cars. They'll see how the judging team approaches each car and what they're looking for, how they go through their checklist of ICJ requirements. And then at the end of the conversation or end of the judging, huddle up, compare notes, and come up with an overall score, and then move on to the next one. So after, there's a lot of cars and there's a lot of things to learn. So an apprentice judge needs to be around that quite a long time to get a good sense of what a true Concours judge needs to understand. And then they've got some homework to do in between Concours too. They've got to go read about and learn about and look about and just determine what areas they need to improve with regard to their judging capabilities. But we've got a couple individuals who have done that, and we're excited to promote them.
That's great. That's really interesting to know. Bob, please share with us a difficult challenge, failure, or obstacle that you faced, whether in personal life or business, and tell us how you overcame that situation. What did you learn?
Yeah, I think, as we approached COVID, our organizing committee was struggling with the lockdowns. We can't have our Concours. How do we stay relevant? How do we continue to generate money for our sponsoring organization and charity, the La Jolla Historical Society? How do we stay engaged with our sponsors? And how do we create events for our hobbyists who are eager to get back out? And so fortunately, we work with McFarland Promotions, and Laurel, being in the event industry, was familiar that on the Indian Reservation, their COVID mandates were much more relaxed than in San Diego County. And so we were able to, in the heart of COVID, when, it's social distancing and masks and all that, we could go out to the Indian Reservation at the casino and present a motor car classic in the middle of all that. And so it was great, because not only did it get all the hobbyists out and we were able to show our cars again and have a fun afternoon of a car show, but we are also able to continue to put money in the coffer for our charity and have a great time with it. So that was a huge challenge that was overcome through Laurel's exposure to the Indian Reservation. And then we also put together two very profitable golf tournaments at the La Jolla Country Club. So we did one a year during COVID, and it was a big success. So that was kind of how we stayed engaged with our sponsors, all of our entrants, and kept the ball rolling. And then we came out of COVID in great shape, ready for our first concourse. So it really worked out well. That was a huge challenge, but we overcame.
Well, it's funny, the automotive and the motorsports world, if you look at during the COVID days, NASCAR was the very first sport back. And, so I find it interesting. It's more people I've talked to that what they were doing during COVID and in the automotive and racing world. We MacGyver, we know how to put events together. We know how to overcome and solve. And I just think that's great the way you guys did that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we had a challenge and we overcame. That was a big one.
Please share with us what you would still like to accomplish in this next chapter of life, basically your bucket list.
Yeah, Laura and I enjoy traveling in Europe, and we want to do more of that. There's more places to see, obviously, and so we're going to try and do some of that. And I've got some great friendships and relationships for the past 50 years in New Jersey and Northern California that it's more of a challenge now that we're in Arizona to keep alive and keep relevant. And so I want to spend some time with all those people and just be with them and keep those friendships active and alive and be a part of their lives as we've been in the past. And so that'll be a goal of mine as well moving forward.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Let's talk about a special vehicle. Tell us about a truly special vehicle in your life. Share a great memory or an experience that you had with that vehicle.
I have a 2003 50th anniversary C5 Corvette. It's black on black. It's 6-speed. And it's my pride and joy. I drive it every weekend, cars and coffee events, and cruise it around into the desert at very illegal speeds and, all that kind of stuff. But it's been fun, not only from the perspective of having the eye candy in the garage, but in driving it, but also being able to do some work on it. So I've converted all the lighting inside and out to LED, and had a new steering wheel put on. And, I started that process, but the thing was on there so tight that I was breaking all the pullers. So I sent it over to my mechanic here in town, and he actually broke his puller. Oh, no. One of the legs flew off, hit the windshield and cracked it. So it was a very expensive job for him.
Oh my gosh.
But we all eventually got it off. But we put a flat bottom steering wheel on it. So it's got a little fresher, modern look to it. But, just little things like that I enjoy being involved in. And I enter it every year in the Concours in the Hills car show, which is here in Fountain Hills, Arizona, coming up in a couple of weeks. I'll give them a shout out. And it's just been a hoot to spend time in that car over the weekend. And there's a great Corvette community up in Cave Creek, Arizona. We get together once a month. There's about 140 cars that show up to that. And one of my good friends runs that. And he'll actually be in La Jolla with his 1963 split window Corvette, which is a Fuelie, so a very rare car that will be on the lawn in La Jolla.
Oh, that sounds awesome. I keep hearing more and more and more, and I'm going to have to get out there to that event.
You are. We will take good care of you when you come.
Absolutely. Getting into your head, if you were a car, what would you be, and more importantly, why?
This is a fun question. I saw something on social media not too long ago where it asks you, what kind of car are you? And it asked a series of questions. You had to answer it, and it came up with an answer for you. And I came back as a Bugatti Chiron, 1,500 horsepower and a price tag of $3.5 million, which is not at all what I see myself as, but that's what it came out with. And when Mark asked me this question in the past, I shared that I grew up in a Pontiac family, and my dad would take me to the dealership every year, and we'd look at the new cars. And one of my favorite ones was a 1965 Pontiac GTO. And, it's, for whatever reason, it caught my eye, and it was always my favorite. And so I categorize it as very high performance and marginally good looking. So that's Bob Kerner.
Let's take an ultimate drive. I am writing a blank check for the ultimate drive with no limitations. If I could wave a magic wand and arrange for you to go on the ultimate drive, what vehicle would you be in, and whom would it be with?
Oh, so I'm a big IndyCar fan, and the Indianapolis 500 is my block your day off kind of day of parking in front of the TV. My ultimate drive would be to be in charge of the pace car with Jay Leno, spending the day with Jay at the Indy 500, starting the race and restarting the race after caution flags would be a hoot. That would be my ultimate day.
Oh my goodness. You never know. I might be able to arrange something like that one day. What would you like to talk about with Jay?
Yeah, Jay's such a great ambassador for the hobby. I enjoy just talking the classics with him. And, he has deep knowledge about any type of car that you want to talk about, whether it be something from the turn of the century in the steam category or the classics of the 20s and the 30s, or, if you want to get into European sports cars, he knows it all and he's done it all. And, just a big fan of his knowledge. Had an opportunity to film a segment for the La Jolla Concours a couple of years back with Jay at his garage. And, just every time I've been around him, I've really enjoyed it. And so I think being at the Indianapolis 500, driving in the car with him, or he could drive one, I'll drive one, and we'll just have a good time together. It'd be fun.
Yeah, I got to meet Jay a few years ago. He actually came out to Spaceport in New Mexico when I was there with a client with the land speed team, and came out to see the land speed vehicle that we had put together and did a segment with us on that vehicle. And he's a great, cool guy. And just like you said, he is so interesting and he has such knowledge, whether it's technical or whatever, basically you ask him. I mean, it's amazing the depth of knowledge that man has about the automotive world.
Oh yeah. Yeah. If he's not doing the comedy circuit, he's in his shop and he's rolling up his sleeves and he's working on it with his guys. And, he even has a fire truck, it's from someplace in New Jersey, and it's like a 1906 fire truck. It's crazy.
Oh, that's great. That's great. What are some of the ways you've helped others or given back? Now, this could be in your life or your career field.
Yeah, I enjoy helping people. I think that's why I got into the insurance world, because I could bring value and solutions to the table for clients who didn't know there was a better solution than what they have. And then as it relates to the car hobby, I'm very proud that we've given back. I would say in my 13 years is close to $2 million, if not over $2 million back to the San Diego community. And I think that's important for all of us to spend some time away from our work and away from our family to actually give back. And that's how I've chosen to do it. And it's been a very rewarding process for me.
Well, some parting thoughts. Please give our listeners a final parting words of wisdom and advice about life or business. Do you have a favorite quote or mantra that has meaning to you?
Yeah, I guess one that always makes sense to me, I kind of say it to myself when I walk out the door every day, because we're in a very difficult insurance market. But Albert Einstein had a quote, and it said, "In the middle of every difficulty lies opportunity." And so I say that to myself because you can either throw up your hands and say it's a difficult insurance market and you can't be successful right now. We're just going to have to wait it out. Or you can be the smart guy in the room and find out where the opportunity lies and go get it and make something happen. And so that's kind of the mantra that I'm living by right now is in the middle of every difficulty lies opportunity.
I love that quote. So finally, tell us the best way that our listeners can learn more about you or your business. You have a website, social media contact, LinkedIn. What's the best means of contact?
Yes, thank you. So bob.kerner@marshmma.com. That's MARSHMMA.com. And I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on the Gram. I'm on Facebook. You can DM me. I'm always open to the conversation. If you're having some challenges with your current insurance program, I would be delighted to give you a second opinion. And if you come to the La Jolla Concours, come talk to me. You can talk to me in person. I'd love to visit and love to meet you.
Well, listeners, you can find links to everything we've talked about here today at carsyout.com on the Bob Kerner link on the notes page. Bob, I want to thank you so much for being generous with your time and sharing your experiences with our listeners. It was really, really great to meet you, and I look forward to talking to you more in the future about the Concours events.
Ginger, it's been a fun drive with you today, and we'll look forward to having you at the La Jolla Concours in the very near future. Come out and see us at the La Jolla Concours. LaJollaConcours.com is where you buy your tickets. Thanks again, Ginger.
And on that note, until we talk again, I will see you down the road.
Thank you so much for joining us here today on Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find today's guest show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up. It's an ebook filled with gorgeous photos of fuel filler fun, including quotes from our inspiring automotive enthusiasts. While you're on the website, sign up for weekly blogs and a whole lot more. Download your copy today, and Ginger will see you next time here on Cars Yeah.